What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Horseshoe. My name is Matt, and how big of a step will this Colts defensive line take this year? I'm going to give my thoughts on that, but before I do, if you're new, please click that subscribe button. It would help a lot if you do so. Also, click the bell icon so you're notified when a video goes up, as well as when we go live. If you like this video, smack that like button. Let me know in the comments below on your thoughts on this defensive line and how big of a step you think they're going to take this year. So, I believe the Colts are in the top 10 for yards allowed this year. So their defensive line, they played quite well. But with some of these new additions, can they take another step forward? Can they become a top 5 to top 3 defensive line this year? I'll let you guys know if I think they can. Now, I kind of want to get the guys who I don't think are going to make much of an impact at all out of the way, like Chris Williams. I don't think he's going to do much. Andrew Brown, Cameron Klein, those guys, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot. And same with Robert Windsor. I don't think he's going to play a whole lot. I think he needs to step up, but he's more of the special teams guy, so I really don't see him taking that next step when it comes to making an impact on our defensive line. So I do want to talk about the rookies first, and then we'll get into some of the guys that were here last year and if I think they're going to make that next step, if they need to make that next step anyway, and become one of the better players in their position this year. So let's talk about Kwity Paye first. Kwity Paye, our first overall pick this year in this past draft. Probably the best edge in this entire class, if I'm going to be honest with you guys. I love the raw explosiveness he provides. I love his character a lot too. He's a hard worker. He's going to work as hard as he needs to make sure the Colts are in a good position to win, or in as good of a position as they can be anyway. For me, how big of an impact do I think he's going to have? I think he's going to have an impact because really, when it comes to the edge presence, I don't think we have a whole lot out there. I think that was where we really needed to step up. I think, you have guys like Kamoko Turay and whatnot, but I think when it comes to Kwity Paye, I think he's going to elevate our edge presence, and we're going to have a much better chance of getting to the quarterback. And when it comes to quarterback hits and whatnot, I think that's where we're going to really jump up in, because you have Kwity Paye, who's going to be really tough to stop. And then you have some of these other guys who I'm going to talk about later who, you would normally see them double teamed. I don't know how much you'll see them double teamed this year because of how much of an improvement we made with Kwity Paye. So for me personally, I think Kwity Paye is going to make an impact. I think it's going to take him a few weeks because, he is a rookie. Look, it took Jonathan Taylor, half a season before he really started to pick it up. He had a game against the Vikings where he played really well, but still, just because, you're rated as the best of your position in your draft class doesn't mean you're going to start off right away just playing awesome. I think it's going to take a little bit. However, once it's let's say week 3, week 4, that's where we're going to start to see improvement, and that's where our edge presence is going to get better from that point on. Okay, so next we're going to be talking about Dayo Odeyingbo. To me, he's not going to make as much of an impact as a Kwity Paye because it's going to take him a little bit to get back because he is coming off of an Achilles tear. So when is he going to come back? Will he be back by week 3, week 4, week 5? I don't know. But when he comes back, I do think it's going to take him a few weeks, not only to get used to the NFL and just how they play and the speed and everything with it, but just getting back to 100% is going to take a little bit of time. And if I'm Chris Ballard and Frank Reich, I would honestly let Dayo rest until you feel like he's 100% ready to go, because you have Kwity Paye already. You have a really good defensive line, I feel like, so you don't need to rush him right away. You can let him rest as long as needed and then put him in there. So to me, just because of the Achilles tear and him being a rookie, I don't think the impact is going to be as strong this year. I think where we'll really see his impact is maybe at the end of the year, playoffs, next season. That's where we'll really see his impact really start to come. But when he gets in there, I think it's going to take him a little bit of time. And like I said, let's let him rest until he's 100%, and then let's put him out there, even though it's still going to take him a few weeks to get adjusted to the NFL. So now let's get into some of our other guys. Let's talk about Tyquan Lewis real quick. Tyquan Lewis, decent year, not great. He had 24 tackles, 5 assisted, 19 were solo, and 4 sacks. So pretty good numbers, not great. Definitely not what you want to see from a starting edge. To me anyway, I think you want to see that number a little higher. than what it was. But to me, I think with Taekwon, he really needs to take that next step. This is one of those players that has to have a bigger year than he has in his entire NFL career. He's younger. He's not old. He's not even in his prime yet. But to me personally, I feel like when it comes to Taekwon, he really needs to he needs to get better. This is a huge year for him, and I think he will get better. He knows he has to have a big year. He knows he has to take that next step because we got Kwity Paye, we got Dayo, we got some other guys coming in too. So for him, if he wants to be a starting edge, he's going to have to go out there and he's going to have to really perform well. And he's going to probably have to get 6 or 7 sacks at the very least. And I'm only saying that because this defensive line is going to get a lot of sacks, I feel. So some of the sacks that he would normally get on another team, if he really takes that step, is going to be taken away because of some of our other guys on this team. So for me, I like Taekwon. I think he's going to take the next step. But if he doesn't, I think we could be getting to the end of Taekwon when it comes to being on the Colts. Okay, so the next guy I want to talk about is Ben Banagou. Now, I like Ben Banagou. I like what he offers. He's a really good kid. But Ben Banagou's going to have a big year this year. He's going to have to really step up. Does he have to be the best player on our team? No, he doesn't have to be. But he really does need to step up because now we're getting to a point to where we're adding more pieces. We're starting to make it more of a competition, okay? You brought in guys like Kwity and you brought in guys like Dayo, okay? If Ben Banagou doesn't step up, he could start seeing his time be shrunk, and who knows? He might not even be on the team when his contract expires. So he's going to have to step up, and to me, I feel like he's going to. I feel like he's going to have a big year this year because he knows he has to have a big year this year. He had 11 total tackles this past season, 2.5 sacks. Not great for an edge. You know what I mean? Now, he didn't play a whole lot, but still, if he's going to start, his numbers are going to have to go up a lot higher. And I don't know if he's going to start. But even as a rotational piece, I want to see those numbers go up. And Ben Banagou is one of those players because of what he offers you. If he can play to his potential or close to it, our defense could go from, let's say, a top 10 defense to a top 5. This guy has the ability to make this defense so much better than what it is already, and it's already a really good defense. So will he step up? That's going to be the question. That's what we'll find out later this year. And me personally, I think he's going to step up. Now, another guy that's going to have a big season is Kamoko Turay. Kamoko Turay had some bad luck. He played injured this past season. I wasn't too happy with him until I found that out. This past season, he had 1 sack, 4 tackles. Not great. But Kamoko, I think, is going to really surprise a lot of people, and he's going to play really, really well. And I feel like he's going to get to where we thought he was going to be in 2019 before that injury, because he played really, really good against the Chiefs. He played really good football. He got to Patrick Mahomes a couple times. It's just he had that really bad injury. He wasn't 100%. I feel like this time he's going to be 100% or very close to it at least. And that's where I think we're going to see the real Kamoko Turay. We're going to see him really step up and dominate because I love this guy. Super athletic type of player. It's hard to, block him. And, he gets to the quarterback pretty easily. So to me personally, I feel like Kamoko Turay is going to have a big year. He's one of those guys I expect to really have a big season because this is huge for him. If he doesn't play great this year, he might be on his way out. He really might be. And that would suck. You know what I mean? So for me personally, I think Kamoko Turay is going to play awesome this year. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. And our edge presence, because of guys like him and hopefully Ben Banagou, this edge presence is going to be so much better than what it was last year. I cannot wait to see Kamoko, and I cannot wait for some of the people who doubted Kamoko Turay to be proven wrong. Because, look, he dealt with injuries last year. Now he doesn't have that excuse anymore. It seems like he's moving a lot better in the whole process after, surgeries and whatnot. Feels like he's going through it a lot better. So, yeah, Kamoko Turay, watch out for him. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. So the next guy I want to talk about, somebody that we actually signed this offseason, it's Antoine Woods. We signed him recently. To me, with Antoine, I don't see Antoine being a starter. This is a rotational type of guy. And honestly, for somebody who's going to be a rotational piece, I think he's going to perform pretty well. 23 tackles, 1 sack this past season for the Cowboys. He's not great. You know what I mean? He's not going to perform fantastic. But honestly, I think Antoine Woods is going to be pretty solid when it comes to coming off the bench. I think he improves our defensive line, not significantly, but I do feel like he really does improve it. And it does make our defense take the next step. You know what I mean? Our defensive line will take the next step because of the impact he'll have. Even though it won't be a huge impact, it's going to be a pretty decent impact nonetheless. And I think he's going to have a pretty solid year for us too. Now, the next guy I want to talk about is Isaac Rochelle, another guy we brought in this offseason. I like him. Obviously, Notre Damer. Big fan of that. Love it. But, for a guy that's going to come off the bench, he might start a game, but he's going to come off the bench 95% of the time. Depends with injuries and whatnot. That will decide how many times he starts. But with Isaac Rochelle, I think a guy coming off the bench, this is good. He's a good piece to have. Just like with Antoine Woods, I think this guy will have a bigger impact, but it just makes our defensive line better. You know what I mean? Because as we rotate guys in and out and whatnot, you want to see the presence and the dominance not go down much. And I feel like with Isaac Rochelle, or Isaac, what am I doing? Isaac Rochelle, I think he's going to bring a pretty big impact to this team, even though it's not going to be like a severe impact or anything like that. Now, another guy I want to talk about, Taylor Stallworth. I feel like with Taylor Stallworth, he's a nice piece to have. He's not great, but he's one of those players that you can bring in when needed, and he'll perform well. He had 12 tackles this past season, half a sack. Whenever we had him in, I thought he performed pretty good. I think as a rotational piece, again, he's a nice piece to have. He's not going to make this team so much better, but I think just having him on the team does elevate this defense slightly, and that's good enough for me. I don't see the impact being great, but still, I think he's going to have a pretty decent year for the minutes he'll play. I like him. He's not a guy that's going to really make your defense stand out, but I think he's a pretty solid piece. Now, the next guy I want to talk about is Al-Quadin Muhammad. I like Al-Quadin Muhammad. I made a video talking about how happy I was with him coming in. He's a reliable type of player. He comes in, he does his job, he does it well. That's all you need at the end of the day. He's a good rotational guy, 23 tackles, 2 sacks this past season, offers you a lot. I like him. He makes our defense much better than what it is. And I feel like he's a guy you can bring back every time his contract expires for a cheap, price. He's not going to be expensive. He'll be more affordable. I like it. I think he's going to come in. He's going to perform really, really well this year when he's in the game. So I like him. He's one of those players that really does make your defense better. He doesn't make it significantly better, but he makes it better. Now, we have 2 guys left to talk about, and I'm going to fly through these guys real quick. Grover Stewart, that's the next guy I want to talk about. I love Grover Stewart. This guy is awesome. He's a great piece to have on that defense, and I hope we can have him as long as possible. This past season, 53 tackles, half a sack. Don't need him to get a lot of sacks. He's great when it comes to stopping the run. He's just great when it comes to tackling in general. This is the type of guy that can really help elevate this defense. If he plays as well as he did this past season or better, watch out. This defense is going to be so much better than what it was this past year. I love him. You get rid of Grover Stewart, this defense, it drops. It doesn't take a huge nosedive like the next guy I'm going to talk about, but removing Grover Stewart does make the defense worse. It really does. He's a great piece to have. He's going to be great on the inside, the interior of this defensive line, and I think he's going to really help make this defense, better than what it was this past year. I love him a lot. So last guy I'm talking about is DeForest Buckner, number 1 draft pick from this past draft. It feels like trade our 13th pick for him, and he did not disappoint. He played awesome this past season. 58 total tackles, 9.5 sacks. Huge body guy. really does elevate the defense. Him and Darius Leonard make this defense a top 10 defense. He is awesome. He's the leader of the defensive line, and if you get rid of this guy, our defensive line goes from a top 10 to a maybe bottom 10. It really does. He makes that big of an impact. You might call me crazy, but it's true. DeForest Buckner is going to have a big year this year. He's going to really surprise a lot of people. And everybody already considers him a top 3, top 2 defensive lineman in the NFL. So with him surprising people must mean he's going to have a phenomenal year. And I think he's going to. He's still pretty young. He's 27 years old. He's not that old. So he's still got plenty of years left to dominate in the NFL. So for me personally, I feel like DeForest Buckner is going to have an even bigger year, a surprisingly bigger year, and he's really going to close the gap between him and Aaron Donald. I truly believe that. And he's going to be a big reason why this Colts defensive line is a top 5 defensive line this year. So there we have it. There's our defensive line. Thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. If you're new, once again, please subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. Click the bell icon so you're notified anytime we have videos go up, as well as live streams. If you like this video, smack the like button and let me know in the comments if you agree with me and which players you think are going to make a big impact for this Colts defensive line. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Matt. Bleed blue, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like it, make sure you watch one of these other 2 videos. They're cool. Also, if you're new, please click the subscribe button as well as the bell icon. I greatly appreciate your support.